Hello, 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 and welcome to 2022 Year in Review, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, before we dive into that, let's quickly get some intros in so you know who's chatting away. Do please let us know. Are you watching live? Put a hashtag live. You're watching on the replay. Let us know. And we want to hear from you as well. What have you learned this year? What are the challenges that you've had? What are the successes that you've had? Let us know below. We want to hear from you as well. Okay, so quick intro, Stephen.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Stephen Lerman from Chameleon BDS, Outsourced Business Development Service. If you're looking to grow your business but don't like to pick up the phone, don't want to pick up the phone, or don't have the resource to pick up the phone, then please do give me a call. I am the guy that can help you get in front of your clients by creating appointments, generating leads, and hoping to give you or get you more business.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stephen. Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. So if you've not met me before, I help businesses grow through revenue and retention. I do that through making sure you've got a powerful and profitable brand. So there's 24 elements to your brand. On your logo, excuse me, is only one. So I can work out what percentage of a brand you have and what gaps need to fill in. So if you want to know a bit more details about that, just let me know and we can have a chat.
Lovely. Thank you, Jess. And I'm Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach, and I love to help business owners to build a business that they could sell tomorrow, but probably don't want to because it's fun to run, because they and their team members are in creative flow, because it's highly profitable, and because you get to make a bigger impact in the world. And if you're thinking about next year and maybe you're looking at plans or you haven't done them yet, then give me a shout and we can have a no obligation chat, and I can show you how you can double your profits at the very least, and with no additional marketing or advertising spend as well, by the way. So if you want to know about that, comment below or send me a DM and I'll be happy to arrange to chat. Okay, so today we're talking about the year that has been. I mean, can you believe how fast this year has gone? It's crazy. I can't believe it. It just has been so fast. Do you agree, or is it
by. It's flown by. It's ridiculous. I mean, I remember when we've started this at the beginning of the year, and even before then, it's just it's been incredibly fast. I mean, don't forget, at the beginning of the year, we were still kind of in a lockdown situation, weren't we? It was still coming out of it, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we had this summer. We had a great few days of summer, and then here we are at winter, and I can't believe it. It's mad. It's flown by. It's ridiculous.
Definitely, yeah. I had an interesting start to the year because towards the end of January I had a car accident, and thankfully it was like my car was written off in the end, and I've had treatment, and I had whiplash and things like that, but there was so much around that it just threw me out completely. The fact that I wasn't able to exercise for such a long time, I put weight on. Like for me, exercise and eating are very closely related. So, if I'm not exercising, my eating tends to go downhill as well. Whereas when I am exercising, then I tend to eat better. And but it just it had a really big impact on my business. And then not long after that, when I was just getting organized again and catching up on stuff, and then a significant team member was very ill and they were hospitalized, and so they were so it was concerned about them, and of course their work wasn't getting done, and then I think in April, just when things were again beginning to get back to normal, I got COVID. And so the first half of the year, really, I feel like I think all summer and even up until I feel like I've been trying to catch up all year, because of this. But it's been very interesting in terms of some lessons learned. But that's some of the significant things that happened for me in the beginning of the year. What about you, Jess? How did your year go off?
It's been interesting adapting back to a norm. So we obviously had a couple of years of lockdown, didn't we? Which separated everybody over the past year, businesses have started getting accelerated again. Like, okay, we got a bit more certainty, we got a bit more confidence. And yeah, I can't believe how fast kind of this year's gone as well. And this quarter for me in particular, I've had quite a good year, and then this quarter's just disappeared. And similar, I got ill, so a good week or 2 hours, kind of really rough, not being able to go at my normal speed. And that's something that I've had to I've had hard lesson on, is just understanding my body and kind of what, when I need a rest and when I need to go fast and when I need to go slow and things like that. But my main point about kind of getting back to the norm is having that community around you, because over the past couple of years, I kind of adapted to you just being at home, you're working from home, everyone has their own little pockets. And then this year, it's kind of the importance of having that community around us. So whether it's through our customers, whether it's through people that we work with, whether it's through friends, it's getting back into being part of different pockets of communities and kind of just being out there. So that's something that I've, that I've not struggled with, but readapted to. That's a good word.
You know what? We talk about going back into the community and getting back to people because we've been not blocked off, segregated for so long. I think it's taught us one thing, that we are very, very adaptable as human beings. When the push comes to shove, we can do it. Everyone talks about in the very beginning, there's talk about lack of productivity, working from home, employers not trusting their employees because, sometimes they need to be stood over with a stick, and the carrot and dangle. No, at the end of the day, we're all adults. In order to survive, we've had to adapt and prove to ourselves and everybody around us that we can do it. We can work remotely, and it allows us to, I think it's allowed us to be even more productive. Just my personal opinion, being cut off. You do need that water cooler chat from time to time, because you do get to air certain things. You do get to, there are conversations that you have around that water cooler and the coffee in the kitchen when you're making a cup of coffee that you don't get from from working remotely. But I think in the main, we've adapted as a nation and got on with it, because the British do, don't they? They just get on with it. They get it done.
I think just human beings do.
Yeah.
Let me just gather my thoughts. I think with remote working with teams, I think a lot of businesses are finding that a hybrid solution can work really well. Obviously, there are businesses that operate totally remote around the globe, and that can work too. I think what is important, though, is like where teams need to actually work as a team, as opposed to, well, there's a work group that they might all report into one manager, or the business owner, where teams kind of really depend on that workflow between them, as opposed to one person produces work and submits it, another person produces work and submits it. That's a different dynamic. And I think that is much more suited to working online and remotely. But it's very interesting conversations that I'm having with some businesses where I think particularly for the leadership teams, that they're really feeling the impact of not having been around each other in the same way. And that whilst in the beginning of lockdown, there was very much that kind of, let's all, it's an emergency. Let's all, work together and get through this. And I think there's this real kind of camaraderie comes out of that. But then as time went on, for businesses that do have teams, there's some people who were furloughed, and then there was other people who had to do all the work, and there can be a kind of dynamic created from that. And of course now, some businesses obviously are having to lay people off as well. I think some of them might be jumping the gun with it. It'd be interesting to see what happens over, the next few quarters in terms of the economy. But I think the team dynamics is a very interesting aspect to it, really. Just want to say hello to Chris, who's watching live, and he's saying, "Yay, Stephen doesn't sound like a robot." See, it wasn't just me and Jess last week then.
I'm really sorry again, guys. I have no idea
It
what
wasn't your
happened.
fault. It was a tech issue. Yeah, it's fine. So yes, no, it is good that we can hear you all. And welcome, Chris. Good to hear. I'd love to hear from you, Chris. Like, what was your biggest challenge and what's one biggest win, that you've had this year? So, and it's interesting for me because I've loved working remotely, and one thing that I do like that came out of people having to work remotely is that much more people are happy to use calendar schedules, scheduling calendars now, which is very convenient, and saves people going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and more people are prepared to meet on Zoom that might not have done that before. Well, Zoom or whatever, Teams, etc., but just to meet online. However, I have to say more recently, I've been getting a lot more out of going in person with people and meeting up, and that's been interesting for me. And I think I've realized that as someone who is an extrovert, I do actually just need to get around people. And it's been interesting for me seeing how people who I would often meet with online have been a bit different in person. And
Yes,
and
absolutely.
so and that's been interesting because I think I'm the same. Maybe I'm not, but I think I'm the same online as I am in person because I just feel totally comfortable. But then, I'm someone who is an extrovert. I'm someone who's very comfortable on camera and on stages and things like that. Not everybody is. And so that's actually made me kind of go, okay, interesting. So I think next year I'm going to do more stuff in person than I have. I think there definitely is a case for, like, particularly initially meeting like potential collaborators or something to meet them online. And like, look, many of my clients, I work with people up and down the country, and I work with a lot of people in North America. I'm not going to be able to meet them in person easily, so that's fine. And pretty much most of my coaching, apart from kind of typically team workshops, all happens online. Like, there's amazing cost benefits, there's amazing time benefits that I think need to be taken into account, and I can do that just as well, as I can in person. But I think from a networking point of view, I think I'll be doing more in person.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that because we've been so used for the last 12, 18 months, maybe even 24 months,
Years.
working online, and we've become a lot more productive working online, that when we do have our face-to-face meetings, they have become more productive as well, because we're so used to not having to travel anywhere, time waste, getting to and from meetings, parking and all that, that when we actually meet, we've got so used to getting things done that we're a lot more efficient when we meet face to face. There's a real purpose. Sometimes we used to meet just for the hell of it. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to meet up? Yeah, I'll have a coffee, whatever. But now, because we're so used to working on Zoom or Teams, we don't have those the time wasting back front and back end of a
Mm.
meeting. We just get it done.
You want to soak up that energy, don't you? I think when you're saying that's made me think when I have meetings in person, I want to soak up that energy from them, and I get the feeling from my clients as well. So I've done a lot of workshops in person this year. A lot of them were online over the past few years. And I noticed online, you need your breaks. It's hard to stay engaged for so long. But in person, you can feel people like on the edge of the seats, listening, really looking at you. When, like you say, when you're networking in person, the eye contact, when you're talking to people and you're looking around the room and everyone's looking at you, it's like you want to soak that up a lot more than you don't get that feeling and that buzz when you're seeing 30 people on a screen, do you? It's a lot different. So yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I think it is actually. It's interesting that I think those in-person meetings, it's the water cooler effect, as Stephen was mentioning earlier. It's the kind of the little bits before and after the meeting. I think that makes a difference. So Chris answered a question in terms of success and challenges. Actually, I'll read this out. I'll have to take it off the screen to finish it. But so I only started this role in my 12th year of marketing. Yay, in May. I discovered you lovely lot. the beauties of Lancashire and return to manufacturing. Obviously, recently we've won 3 awards. We've been lucky to have lots of press coverage. Press coverage 2. Here's some more in-person stuff in 2023. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you're just down the road from me, Chris. We should meet up sometime. So, yeah. So Stephen, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment this year?
My biggest accomplishment this year is I've engaged with a wonderful business coach, mentioning no names, Una Doyle, and you have given me structure and a direction. Because when I first started this business, I was just all over the place because I'd never done it before. But through working with yourself, I've got direction, and I've put systems in place that have allowed me to focus on what I need to do on a daily basis, rather than worrying about the back end stuff that was stressing me out at the very beginning. Simple things that you just don't, when you're actually involved in something on a day-to-day basis, you don't see it. And my dad has always been one for saying, step outside of the circle and look in. But with your help and the mindset team, I think I've come on in leaps and bounds in terms of a business, and it's been a very steep learning curve for me, but I've loved every minute of it. It's been great, and I see the fruits of our labor, because it's been a team effort, because there's stuff that I just wouldn't have had a clue about doing if it hadn't been for you. So thank you so much. It's been amazing. It's been fab.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to help business owners to be able to grow and to it's putting those structures in place that makes such a difference, isn't it? That you just get your business working better, and you're doing a great job for your clients. You're able to, you've now started growing a team as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, well done.
Thank you very much. So that's been amazing. And then these LinkedIn lives have been fab too, because not only do we get to meet and and just we kind of have our virtual water cooler here every
Yeah.
Tuesday morning. We do, and we go through certain topics, the stuff that needs to be talked about, because some people just don't know. And I think we do give nuggets of information, and people are grateful, and we do get interaction. So I've loved this. These Tuesday morning LinkedIn lives for me have been great as well. So much more, so much better than I can't remember the name of it now. The other app we were working on,
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Yeah, no, this has been
Yeah,
great. I've loved it.
yeah. For those who might not know, so that was last year, wasn't it? Last spring we started on Clubhouse, and we kept getting people going, I can't make it. Is there a replay? And at the time, I noticed recently that they have actually introduced that now, so you can do it. However, we changed to this approach, which allows us to be live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, etc. So
We get
we're
some great interactions, don't we?
Yes, yeah, and to be able to kind of make it work for us. We are going to be having a bit of a rejig and looking at how we're going to improve things. We may be changing the time, folks. So we'd love to hear from you, because we do it it's 8 a.m. in the UK. We're looking at maybe changing that up to perhaps lunch times or at the end of the day. So we'd love to hear from you about what timings of the day, and please put what time zone you're in as well. So great, cool. All right, well done, Stephen. What about you, Jess? What's been your biggest accomplishment this year?
There's actually been a few. So when you're talking about these lives, I've loved these lives as well, because you've been able to help people, being able to inspire conversations and topics that people wouldn't have necessarily thought of before, and helping people do a lot of things themselves, because you've got to have an understanding of certain things to a certain point as well. But refining my process has been one that when I look back on, I think it's exciting, because it's always evolving and it's always growing. There's always little bits being added in, and every time I'm working with a client, there's always something new that we work on, and that is really exciting. And over the past few years, especially this year, has been one of the first years being able to actually go into businesses and get get hands-on with this sort of process, because obviously last few years it's been online, and especially after working with, you know, within a big brand and it all just being on autopilot, it's been really interesting to shift that and be more strategic and conscious about what brands are actually doing. So evolving that process is really exciting. So like I said, it's always changing, and I can always pull little bits out to help people as well. So being part of local peer groups, being part of local communities where people want that little bit of support, you know, I can pull little bits out of the process and kind of give people a helping hand and just a bit of a boost up and things like that. So being able to work with that has been really good. And my other one is grinding down to my purpose. You know, what is it that, not a business purpose, not a you know, because that's something else I've been on a journey to find this year. Is my purpose. What am I showing up for? So when you're networking, when you're in front of customers, clients, wherever you're in front of, you're a persona, aren't you? Your business, you're representing your business, you're representing your brand. So this year I've really kind of thought, well, instead of representing my brand, instead of representing my business, what is it that I want? And I think a lot of businesses, whether you own the business, whether you're just part of the business, want that as well. You know, really want to know what is it that they want out of things. And that comes back to, you know, a current struggle that a lot of businesses have at the minute is employing people, because people are going through this process of, what is it that I want? You know, do I want this? Do I want that? And that's putting people off certain jobs that they probably would have jumped at, you know, maybe 6-12 months ago. So for me, yeah, and if anyone knows Michael Quigley, you know, tag him or anything, get him to watch it, because Michael's really helped me as well, kind of dig into that personal purpose aside from the business. So yeah, that's been a really exciting kind of evolution for me this year. And one other thing before I forget is, which I were even journaling about this morning, is what can you control and what can't you control. So we were talking about readapting. A lot of my clients have been up and down all year, all year there's been something getting in the way. So there's obviously employment at the minute, but even with agriculture and food products, you know, there's the price of ingredients, the price of packaging, the price of materials. Bird flu has wiped out a lot of birds at the minute. So people that relied on that, especially this time of year, you know, relied on that food chain to kind of help the business. You know, so there's always been something. So being able to step back, like you said, out of that circle and going, okay, what can I control? What can't I control? I can't control, you know, bird flu that's traveling around, but I can control the way I maybe generate income, the way I show up, the way I get in front of people. How do I adapt? So having that perspective, yeah, it's been really exciting.
Great, well done. Sounds fabulous. I think for me, I think one of the biggest shifts that I've made this year is in, I think, just honing my planning more, and also just really ramping up from a strategic point of view and from a long-term point of view. So for example, my podcast, She Leads Business. So I work with both men and women, but I decided to focus a podcast to highlight women, because when I was researching it, I realized, you know, do you know what? Women still need a lot of help. And I love working with women. I love working with men. They both have different challenges a lot of the time. But yeah, just in terms of actually, you know, streamlining everything around that, you know, looking at just looking at kind of being more long term in terms of content, and, you know, just being even more strategic. Sometimes it's easy to do it for everybody else and not do it for ourselves. You know, cobbler's daughter has no shoes kind of thing. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things for me, and that's really shown, you know, in my results, you know, in terms of that, and you know, in terms of the growth of the business, and also in terms of how I feel about things. Now I've had some challenges around that too, in terms of team stuff at the moment. So I'm actually rejigging my team makeup and kind of, you know, what what I'm getting help with, kind of moving that forward. So that'll kind of all be kicking in Q1 and Q2. I have some plans in place for that. Can't wait to get those implemented and get back to my usual level of help. It's been a bit all hands to deck at the last, just particularly the last month or so, last few weeks. But yeah, and I'm really looking forward to just seeing how those things develop over time to just grow the business, to help more people. And I think social media in particular can really feel like a hamster wheel for so many people, that they're just, kind of going and going and going. And I think especially because, algorithms change, platforms change. I'm hearing from a lot of people, they're not getting what they used to do from Instagram, for instance. And yeah, so I think just people understanding, well, do you know what? There's actually a lot of different ways that you can grow your business, and social media is just one of them, or a few. There's a few different strategies you can use with social media, but please don't put all your eggs in one basket, is what I would say as well. So that would be something that I would share. So Chris is just saying I've been able to learn things that I hadn't even thought about through podcasts and webinars, including here. There's literally help for everything if you look for it. Very true. I've also been able to reaffirm my own knowledge and add value. Great. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is, like, with the internet, you've got so much at your fingertips. What I would say is that, generally speaking, the people who are sharing, like us included, we're going to share so much, but there's always some stuff that we're going to keep back. It's our business. So just bear that in mind as well. And it totally depends. I think when somebody is in the very early stages of their business growth, great, get as much as you typically have more time than money at that time. So get what you can. What I would say is, evaluate who's out there and pick a small number of people in different areas for your business to follow and to learn from, because otherwise you're going to be pulled in all different directions, because people have got different approaches. So do that, learn as much as you can, but make sure you're implementing what you're learning as well. And then, as you can afford it, do hire people to help you, because as I'm saying, there's so much that you'll get for free, but then there's, of course we're going to keep things for our clients, because they're the ones who are paying us. So everybody does that. It's not just me, everybody does it. So you're going to get like 50, 70, maybe 80% of what you need for free. But, and here's the other thing as well. When people pay, they pay attention. So, quite often when people do get things for free, they don't implement them. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I agree completely, especially about if you pay, you're more likely to pay attention, because you've got no vested interest otherwise, have you? Even though it's monetary,
Mm.
you still, that's your hard-earned money that you're giving to somebody like yourself, to help them grow the business. So, and I've been guilty of it too. If I get something for free, I'm not paying attention. But if I've got to pay for, I'm thinking, right, I'm investing my time. I've paid some money. I'm going to give this a really good listen to, and I'm going to try and get some value from it. But what we do, giving little snippets of information, and tips and tricks and hints, it's an enticement, isn't it? Because we've got so much more to offer, haven't we? Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's only so much that we can ever discuss. And of course, the other thing to bear in mind as well is that when when I'm in front of somebody, then I can really dive into what's right for that one particular person, that one particular business. You can't do that when you're broadcasting, or in an article or whatever it might be. By its nature, obviously you can be specific to a particular niche and a particular problem, but you're never going to be as specific as you can when you're in front of that actual person. So, you know, how do you know what advice is best for you, as well? So I would just kind of say that, really, because I do come across people, and I think it happens more in the earlier stages of businesses. I think when people have a more established business, they don't have time to be spending all their time watching lives and YouTubes and etc. So I think there's lots that we can learn, but just, you know, make sure that you implement what you're learning, and just also, you know, be mindful of the fact that, you know, if things aren't working for you, is it the right strategy for you? Is it best for you, for your personality and your strengths? Is it best for your stage of business? You know, for your industry? So all of those kind of personalization things, I think, come in when you're in that kind of, you know, one-to-one or group situation, really. Um, so, Jessica, what's been your biggest challenge this year?
Oh, challenge. My biggest challenge has been sticking to my time. So I'm very structured and I'm very organised in my time, thanks to working with Uno over the past few years. So everything is kind of in an order. But then I've also been kind of fallen into the trap of being a prisoner of my own diary. So kind of really reviewing and tracking that. So that's something that I'm looking into. I want to start using an app called Harvest. I don't know if anyone's heard of that one. And really track my time as well, not just on my diary. So then I can look back at it and review it and go, right, what's been productive and what's not. So that's something, you know, my time, not so much being unorganized and not getting things done or anything like that, but kind of being efficient and actually being productive in that time, and make sure I'm getting my things done. So managing my time has been a challenge, but also a huge lesson, because I've learned ways that I am more productive. So this year in particular, coming back to the people in the community part of it, there's 4 or 5, 6 of us that are kind of have similar values in similar situations in business. And once a month we'll meet and go Starbucks and co-work for the day. Or when we've got a Friday off, we'll meet Friday afternoon for a coffee and then, you know, go off and do our thing. So I get really productive in them times. Not all the time. If it was all the time, the novelty would wear off and I'd just sit there and chat and not do anything. But doing it once a month and breaking that up, you know, how I spend my time, what I spend it on, how efficient I am, that's definitely been one for me.
Great. So just hearing from Kevin Sanders, who's saying,
Hi, Kevin.
it's so difficult to find time to work on the long-term strategic plans, and so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day business. Yeah, it can be, and I think that's, you know, plug for a business coach, whether it's me or somebody else. Working with somebody provides that accountability and that focus. So whoever it is that you get help from, I would definitely, you know, get help with that. And like one of the key things that I help my clients to do is structure their time in a flexible way that they can respond to things, but there is that structure there that allows them to spend time to work on the business. Even how we split up, you know, their plans has, you know, that we're taking into account what they have to do on the day-to-day business, and we're also looking at, you know, what it is that they're what they need to do to grow the business and make that go. So yeah. Kevin's saying hello back, Jess. Wonderful. Stephen, what's been your biggest challenge this year?
I would have to say something we talked about recently, actually, procrastination. I am terrible at it, you know, and I've found there's been a couple of things that have
So you
really.
mean you're rather good at it?
Sorry? Oh, yes, I'm
You're
really good at it.
good
I'm
at
good at procrastinating,
it.
and I want to be terrible at it. Yeah, this is the only time that something should be the actual opposite. Yeah, a couple of things that have stopped me from progressing as far as I'd like, due to my procrastination. I'm working through it. I think I'm getting there. Certainly, from this time last year, I've come a
Oh yeah.
long way.
Mm.
But it's you know, it's thrown me for a loop a couple of times this year, and I just need to get past it. But although, you know,
Mm.
like I said, I'm working through it, and I've you know, I've taken stride. So it's a journey.
It is.
It has been a journey for me. Um, I think that's my biggest challenge for the year.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. I just posted about that this morning. with I put a quote up where I've said procrastination is not a badge of honor. It's just getting in the way of your goals. Because I think people love to kind of go, oh yeah, and I think I think it's so accepted that, and look, most people will procrastinate to some extent or another. Yeah, it does make a big difference. And yeah, when the more focused we can get and the more we implement, then yeah, makes a big difference. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, there's lessons in everything for us, isn't there? So I think I've already kind of talked about. I think a lot of my challenges started at the early in the year, as I mentioned at the very beginning. So I think just getting through that, and I found actually that I wasn't making as much progress, even when I was back to my normal energy and team was back in place and things. And so I changed the times that I work, and I changed my structure of how I work, and that's been brilliant. So I would say to anyone who is struggling to get things done, have a look at that. If you put the right kind of structure around, get what works for you. And the way I did it, and it wouldn't work for everybody. There are some people I work with that are night owls. This would definitely not work for them. And also, mind you, the way I do it, it probably would work with even having children, actually, but I don't have children, so I don't have that in the mix. So I get up at 5 and I start work at 5:30. I do 2 focus mate sessions, which I've talked about quite a lot. And then typically not on a Tuesday. That's one of the other benefits of us changing times as well, actually, next year. I then take a break. And so that's my time for doing exercise, self-care, things like that. And then typically start work again mid-morning. And so that couple of hours is my time to work on my business, to do that strategic time. I don't have any interruptions. I don't have people wanting to book in with me at that time of day. So it works really well. And I think it's that thing of whatever is most important to you. If it's really important to you, you will make time for it. So
Quick question, Una.
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed?
Usually by 10. So typically between 9 and 10. Occasionally I might stray till 11. But I am somebody who can be absolutely fine on just 6 hours sleep. But it's better when I go to bed, kind of 9 to 10ish. So yeah. And that's one of the things that I'll see. I'd planned for this to be a temporary thing to allow me to catch up on some of the projects I hadn't got done earlier in the year. But actually I love it. So I'm going to keep doing it in the new year. Now I might change it up slightly. I've not managed, just because I've had to do some extra work this last few weeks. I've not managed to get out to check out the other dance classes that I want to go to. So I won't be able to go to bed probably at 10 o'clock. I might be able to. I'll just have to try it out and see. So I'll probably do that. Oh, I might do it next week because I'm having next week off. So I'll see if there's anything on next week I can go to and try it out. But yeah, I think overall, though, that structure, I really love it. And it allows me to spend time being strategic, being creative, and just really progressing through my working on the business stuff. And then, structuring the rest of my time for client time, for, networking and one-to-ones, etc., sales calls, etc. So yeah, it's I like that. And interesting, I guess that did come out of a challenge I was having. So I guess there's always a silver lining in our challenges, isn't there? So Chris is just saying breaks are important to refresh focus and think creatively. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Chris. I think that's so important. And actually, to be honest, I'm feeling it right now that I haven't had as much break time in this last few weeks as I normally would. And I'm feeling it. I'm really looking forward to next week off, next couple of weeks off, for before Christmas and after Christmas. So yeah, it is important. We need it. So let's turn our attention then to 2023. What are you most excited about, Jess?
Seeing how my purpose is going to evolve my business and my brand. So over the past few years, I've been working as an independent consultant. So next year, I'm going to look at what might that look like to grow, maybe be able to get more clients. Do I outsource? Do I partner? Do I employ? What does that look like? So I'm excited to see how next year will change my brand and kind of be the evolution of my team and my community. So I've been working on some mental ideas on how that's going to happen, and then January is my month to kind of get down and make some plans and make some strategies around that. So that's a really exciting one for me, that evolution of my own brand.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Well, watch this space, folks. And what about you, Stephen? What are you most excited about for 2023?
So these last couple of weeks, I've had some really interesting conversations with a couple of clients, a couple of people I've been introduced to, and people close to me about taking the business in a different, not a different direction, but upscaling. And I'm quite excited about it because my intention was always to not just be a one-man band. I've got I've got a couple of freelancers that are working for me that are doing quite well. So I'm looking to grow the team, and then also when I first set the business up, in my head I had a vision of doing the calling, but the other side of the business was training people how to cold call. And I've talked about it. I must have talked about it to everybody, and I've not managed to get it off the ground. But this year, I think, is the year that I'm going to get that side of the business moving. I've got people that are interested in what that will look like, and I'm going to not guinea pig them. I'm going to try to benchmark the service, that side of the business, and see where it goes. But I've got some good ideas. I'm very excited about what the future holds. So yeah, fingers crossed. This could be it.
Fantastic. Great. Look forward to seeing how that unfolds for you. For me, 2023 is going to be my year of visibility, I think. So I get so much fantastic feedback from my clients. You've seen some of it here today. And I want to be able to help more people. And it's one of those things, like, so years ago when I worked in creative agencies, I used to do public relations, and I have been absolutely abysmal at doing my own PR. So next year I'm going to be doing PR, and it's so funny, right? Like, because I've been doing my planning for next year, I've just had things drop in my lap just in the last couple of weeks as well, which is hilarious. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more PR. I'm going to be really growing my podcast and podcast audience. And also what I'm really excited about is bringing more offers. So I have my core signature program, my group coaching program, Unleashed, Unapologetic and Unstoppable. So I have that. I'm still going to be doing that. I'm looking forward to adding more groups within that as well. I do private coaching with more established companies. They're typically kind of $500,000 plus. And there where I am doing the kind of strategic business, strategic marketing consultancy, and also often doing kind of leadership team type stuff there as well. I'm excited to do some different kind of smaller offers that that will be interesting. So I had, for Black Friday, I did an implementation gets results offer. That was really good fun to kind of get that out there and get some people on board with that. And that's kind of really kicking off today, actually. So I'm doing some work with clients on that later today. And yeah, so I think I'm going to be doing more of that. And so yeah, I'm excited about that and how that's all going to unfold. And I think there's a time in your business when you just really want to focus in on kind of one core offer. I feel now I can kind of build upon that. And it is one of the strategies I often work with clients on, is having additional products and services So I have some quite exciting ideas for different things that I'll be bringing into play next year. So yeah, I'm not saying anything right now, but yeah, watch this space. So yeah, so let us know below, what are you most excited about in 2023? We want to hear it from you too. I think, after the last few years, I think a lot of people came into 2022 kind of going, oh, phew, that's over now. And I think 2022 has been challenging in different respects for a lot of people. I think expectations always, they can cause problems when you have expectations, can't they? So I think, I just really have this feeling that 2023 is just going to be, whoosh, despite what a lot of what's going on in the economy. Yeah, I don't know. Just with, I don't know, just what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing. Obviously, there are some industries that have been very hard hit and that are still really struggling, particularly with the kind of employment and things like that. But yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see how things unfold. But I think there's going to be a lot of movement next year. What direction that movement is in for businesses and their owners, I think, will depend on what they're doing now, what they're planning now, how they respond to changes that are happening. So yeah, but I think 2022 has been an interesting year. I think I've learned a lot. It sounds like you both have as well. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for next year. What's been most significant in our discussion here today, Jess, for you?
So something that I want people to take away when they're reflecting. So we talked about adapting, people, purpose, and it's been really beneficial just to speak that out loud. There's writing it down and kind of going, okay, yeah, that's what I've learned, and then putting it away and carrying on with your day. But having that conversation about it has really helped me. But thinking about the situation of your business to start off with, one of the strategies that we do as part of your brand is looking at that. So are you realigning yourself? Are you, do you need to keep that momentum? Have you had a great year and you're like, right, okay, yeah, but what's 2023 going to look like? How do I keep that momentum up? Are you a startup? So do you have more time than money at the minute? So how can you soak up more information? So do you need to fix a reputation? Or something happened this year that was out of your control that you need to fix for next year? So when you're reflecting about all this stuff that we've talked about today, speak about it to people and think of that as well. What situation is your business in, and how does that affect what plans you've got for next year?
Yeah, great advice and insights, Jess. Stephen, what about you? What's been most significant for you in our discussion today?
I think we take so many things for granted, but hearing about our personal journeys, how the last 12 months, how we've adapted, how we've progressed, how we've had a chance to reflect, and I think we forget that we're human beings at the end of the day, and learning about the struggles that you had at the beginning of the year. I mean, I knew that anyway because obviously I've been seeing you on a regular basis, and then also Jess, knowing how you've gone from not being cocooned but being separated, and how you've gone back into getting more face to face. It's been great, hearing all this and how you've progressed and how you've overcome certain challenges and where you are, and how now at the end of this year, you're looking forward to what the following 12 months have got to offer. It's been really inspiring. Honestly, it's been great. Just been listening to what you both had to say. It's been fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll wrap things up there. Thank you, Stephen. That's been great. Thank you, Jess. Yeah, thank you for watching and listening. We appreciate you, and we will be back in the new year. We'll let you know times and days in January. Bye for now.
Have a great time off. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, happy holidays.